connection with
Inspiring, innovating. For 100 years, Cheyenne Mountain Zoo has been here, connecting people to wildlife, to nature, to each other, creating a lifetime of unforgettable experiences. Our guests are still smiling. Our focus is on what's still to come. 100 years later, we're the best we've ever been. Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, a mountain of memories.
Good morning, crew. It is Thursday. It is August 6th. It is my dad's birthday today. I talked to him yesterday afternoon. Mom and Dad live down in Phoenix, Arizona, or Tempe. And he was, getting up early this time of year to avoid the heat, gets out in the neighborhood, does his walks. Good morning to you. You are on Peaks to Plains Weather. And this is Mornings with Meister, and happy birthday to my dad. As we start off the day, over the last couple of hours, we have seen a couple of low clouds up against the southern slopes of the Palmer Divide and up against the Rampart Range. There is also some haze early this morning. Let me show you that here at Kissing Camels, kind of looking off to the northwest here. And you can see early this morning that as we kind of look back across the hills on a beautiful shot back toward Flying W Ranch there, you can see a couple of those clouds that have formed there, and that it's a little bit hazy. I don't think the smoke goes anywhere for the next couple of days, but what does change is the heat. In fact, we have red flag warnings today for the Continental Divide, other parts of the mountain areas. That's where the wind is going to be strongest today as we shift hotter air eastward across Colorado. And then there is a fire weather watch up tomorrow for Fremont County and Pueblo County, as we might get a little bit of gap flow wind coming out of Bighorn Canyon here into the weekend. But that's also an indication to you that it is going to be dry out there. So that's kind of what we have here in the short-term forecast. And you guys are checking in this morning, and Lisa's like, hey, can we get some more of the rain in Colorado City next week? Well, I think it's going to take until next week to do that. So we got to get through a kind of hot stretch here. Early this morning, it's a little bit different than yesterday. Let me show you the current temperatures across southern Colorado and compare it to what we had yesterday, because it is a little bit warmer already, and it's only a couple degrees here, but it sort of sets the stage actually for what we get later on today. We are 7 degrees warmer in Walsenburg. You can see that Denver's about 10 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago. And a lot of us east of the mountains in particular, and especially along the Arkansas River, are going to feel that today. The air is dry, so temperatures are in the 40s over the mountain areas. We've got some low to mid 50s across parts of the Palmer Divide. We've got 50s and low 60s over the eastern plains, so it's very comfortable from a temperature perspective out there as we start off our day. And that's not going to last all that long today, because things are going to change up, like I said. So let's get set here. Let's jump into the short-term forecast as we start off our Thursday. And what was interesting about yesterday was along the Arkansas River, notice how Pueblo was cooler than Canyon City, and along the river we were cooler than the higher terrain. Up against the hills, Walsenburg and Trinidad were warmer than we had. Out east, that's a wintry look to get that, and it shows that we have this cool air mass, really shallow, sitting along the Arkansas River here. So check this out. You can see Trinidad, Walsenburg warmer than what we had across the Arkansas River, as I said. You don't see that pattern that much in August. By the way, I'm on a Dad's coffee now from American Classic Coffee, and I think it's my favorite roast of Spence's. I love it. It's got some chocolate and hazelnut notes in there. Let's talk about what happens out there today. Here's the difference between yesterday and today, is that the numbers come back up over the plains. And we may not hit 100 today. We'll get close in a couple spots in the southeastern plains, but the Springs were back into the 90s. Denver's well into the 90s. You know, we flipped from the low 80s along the Arkansas River into the mid and upper 90s out there today. Mountains and valleys, we don't change too much. You know, we've been in the low 90s the last few days in the San Luis Valley, in the upper Arkansas River Valley. We've been flirting with 90 in a couple spots in the Wet Mountain Valley. Not yesterday, but we'll flip that script and do that today. And so it's areas over the east that see a rebound in temps. And one of the reasons for that is how the atmosphere is shifting just a little bit. Had some thunderstorms across the Colorado-New Mexico line late yesterday. And like we talked about yesterday, there were a couple later in the evening out near the Kansas line. Those are all gone, obviously, this morning. And the way that things are changing here is the high pressure over the southwestern U.S. is starting to build northward. And that's expanding the heat and starting to shift it east. The other thing it does is it keeps us in this northwest flow that, with where the big fires are over the western U.S., the most active ones, the biggest ones, there's one in Utah that's really active right now, and then a couple up across the Pacific Northwest. I don't think the haze from the smoke at the minimum, and maybe some smokier stretches, I don't think those are going anywhere. And we're going to keep those around here for the next few days into the weekend, probably until we get to next week. It's going to be dry today. If we're going to get a storm, it'll be across the Colorado-New Mexico line. So kind of close to where we were yesterday. I think it's more likely to the south of Trinidad on the pass than it is, you know, a little bit farther to the north. But, you know, Fisher's Peak State Park, in theory, Trinidad, I can't rule it out for you. It just, if one develops on top of you, it'll be moving south here pretty quick. Then Friday we warm up. And that's a trend that continues right on into the weekend. It's still mainly dry. So if we're going to catch a storm, it's still across the Colorado-New Mexico line. And why is that? Well, we've got that northwest flow. So that's where we're kind of pushing the air up against the terrain a little bit more. There could be some virga out there at best that might help cool you off a little bit. If you get some gusts to around 40, thanks sweet heavens, because some cooling air is coming right behind it here the next few days. But in terms of significant water, I just don't have it in the forecast until we hit next week. Then we change things up a little bit as we move toward next week, because that's when we start to get the monsoon. And we've been talking about that the last few days. I'm keeping my eye on that, and things really aren't changing all that much. Richard is checking in this morning. Let's check in with him. He says, good morning, y'all. Richard, good morning to you. Thanks for starting your day with Peaks to Plains weather. I am grateful. I appreciate it. Kathleen says good morning as well. Kathleen, good morning to you. And regardless of where you are watching from, my friends, whether you are on Roku, whether you're on Fire TV, whether you're watching on YouTube, social media, in the Peaks to Plains weather app, peaks2plainsweather.com, thanks for being part of Peaks to Plains weather. We sure do appreciate it. This is Mornings with Meister here on Peaks to Plains weather, and I'll be back right after this to talk about that extended forecast.
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for the places that matter to you most, so you know what's happening and what to do next. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
Employee pricing is over, but at Phil Long Ford in Motor City, American value still means something. Colorado's best season, Phil Long's biggest discounts of the year, 0% financing, no payments for 90 days. And I'll throw $1,000 towards your down payment. Plus, get a complimentary 2-year premium maintenance plan.
That's the Phil Long way.
We'll beat any deal by $750, and we'll prove it only at the original Ford store in Motor City.
For over 20 years, my family, like so many of you, has proudly been part of Broncos country.
Every season, we feel the energy, passion, and commitment that defines this team.
And now we are honored to be the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos.
Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.
Hey Peaks to Plains viewers, this is John over here at Petrali Roofing. It's hail season here in Colorado, and you might think that your roof doesn't have hail damage, but think again. Hail damage is hard to spot from the ground. That's why Petrali Roofing does free 21-point inspections. Give us a call today. We'll come out and take a look. And if we do find hail damage and your roof qualifies for a re-roof, you'll get $250 off if you choose us to do that installation. So give us a call today, 719-375-8773. Have us come out and take a look today.
Alrighty, Mornings with Meister here on Peaks to Plains weather. Spending the morning in the Peaks to Plains weather backyard, made possible by F&B Landscaping and Hydrix Colorado Tree Farm Nursery. And just know this, into the weekend, if you need to avoid the heat, mornings and evenings are your jam. It's dry enough that even with the heat of the day, once the sun goes down, our evenings will be pretty nice. It's one of the reasons we love our patios, we love our decks in Colorado, is compared to the eastern part of the country where they deal with the humidity, you know, we cool off a little bit when you get rid of the sun, so that's some good news. Let's talk the extended forecast though, and I'm going to start us off with the large scale pattern here. And really, it doesn't make a lot of sense to, you know, drill down too much. Like if I pull it into, you know, the heart of the viewing area or just southern Colorado when you're talking 5-6 days out, it doesn't make sense because there's detail that will change, like if you're starting to look on too fine of a scale. So the large scale is kind of the way to do it here. And you can see where the high still over the western U.S. as the weekend starts, and the monsoon's a little bit broken up there. But as I take you through with time here, you see that we start to get a better tap over the western U.S. and then the high's shifting. And so over the weekend, as the high starts to move off to the southeast, it's going to start to drag the moisture with it. So if you're heading west of the Continental Divide on Saturday, there could be a thunderstorm. And then by Sunday, could be a thunderstorm east of the Continental Divide. But it's really as we head into early next week when we see the monsoon has kind of been there with this flow out of the south for a few days. So we're thickening it up. We get a better coverage of thunderstorms. There's more water in the air over the mountains, and that's something that just continues through next week. And as the high keeps shifting off to the southeast, we start curling that flow from southwest to northeast across Colorado. And the high off to our southeast is really the best situation for Colorado, particularly the front range and the plains when it's talking about the monsoon. And so that hasn't really changed much. And in the northwest flow that we get off to our north, we may sneak a cool front in as well. And if we can do that, temperatures will come down a little bit more east of the mountains, and that introduces low-level moisture that just kind of helps things. And those will be the days when we get storms to be a little more likely for the Front Range and parts of the plains. But it is a stormier pattern through next week for sure. And look at Saturday. That's a real monsoon right there with that definite just conveyor belt of moisture you see from Mexico up through the western U.S. and the Rockies, and even off to the north and northeast of Colorado. So it's certainly what we need here. We've been talking about it the last few days, and it's what I've got in our forecast. So it's hot until then. We're going to be close to records a couple of days here. We may tie them, we may set them, we may end up just short, but in the springs, we're talking mid to even a couple days of some upper 90s. So that's hot enough that those of you that are susceptible to heat need to take some precautions. And the numbers start to come back a little bit early next week as we start to get more clouds around. We start to introduce a chance of a storm. But when we can get a cool front to come in, the numbers will pull back more and the coverage of storms should be more significant. And we'll move all that fast next week. They will be efficient rain producers, and so a rainier stretch is certainly what we need. And if I take you toward next weekend, next Saturday, let's see, what's today, 6th, 7th, 8th, so the next Saturday is the 15th. And even if I look beyond that, it still looks like we have this pattern set up. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to get storms every day, but the signal there is for us to be above average, which in a time of year, has the monsoon kind of built into. When you go look 30, 40, 50 years in the past, the monsoon shows up in our climatological data. So for it to look like it's going to be above average is kind of good here. So the middle part of the month looking better, but we've got to get through the weekend heat that for Pueblo and the plains will have us up above 100. Overnight lows will be in the 60s east of the Rocky Mountains, and then with time we get a better chance of storms as well. That'll ebb and flow a little bit the farther east you are next week. Again, it'll depend on fronts, but the temperatures are certainly going to come back even if the fronts don't get here, with more clouds around and the thunderstorms around in the afternoon. Mountains, like I said, east of the Continental Divide by Sunday in Woodland Park, we're maybe talking the chance of a storm on Pikes Peak, and that just kind of gets better with time as we head through next week. And so you see the chance on Sunday that's just kind of isolated at 30%, gets better as we head into Monday, and certainly beyond that as we get that monsoon around here. And that's certainly something that we need. All right. As I've been talking about that, let's see what you guys thought about this morning. And James is talking about the low clouds that developed on the south end of the Palmer Divide. He's socked in with fog east of Falcon. I thought we'd get the cool air mass from yesterday out of here overnight. It's being a little bit stubborn. That's why you've got that out there, James, this morning. There's also some low clouds out near the Kansas line. We'll get rid of those pretty quick here this morning. And then Jim says a conveyor belt of moisture. Does that mean Mike Moisture? Crew, I've still got plans to get Mike Moisture on Peaks to Plains Weather. It's just, man, I've been drowning with stuff to do, and I haven't had a chance to have that fun yet. And he says, I think I see him Homer Simpsoning the weather wall. Going back into the bushes and all that stuff. Yeah, Mike Moisture's out there. He's lingering like a fart in a movie theater. Once he gets here, you can't kind of get rid of it. So, some people want him, some don't. Let me tell you who doesn't like Mike Moisture. Mrs. Peaks to Plains. Maybe that's part of the reason I haven't got him out yet. I don't know. But be patient. He'll get here, I promise. I do have a favor to ask of you. If you haven't downloaded the Peaks to Plains weather app yet, please do so. And please tell your friends about it. When you're at the grocery store and you hear weather coming up in conversation, lean in and say, hey, do you know Matt Meister and Mary Matthews and Rachel Plath still doing weather around here? Tell them about Peaks to Plains. Have them download the app. Tell them about the 24-hour channel that you can watch on Roku, Fire TV, or YouTube. It's still a grassroots movement, my friends, and we're glad you're a part of it, and hopefully you are continuing to find it helpful. Rachel will be in this afternoon, so I'll get some updates going here through the morning into the early afternoon, and then she'll take over here. I'm going to go out and interview one of the local high school football coaches today as their practice is beginning, because I want to talk about what they do with the heat this time of year. We're different than some other parts of the country that we don't have the humidity that they have. Even when we are humid, we're not like Alabama, Oklahoma, Nebraska, all that stuff. But I want to see what they do for their players, so I'll share that with you tomorrow morning here. The Plains Weather on Mornings with Meister. By the way, it's every Monday through Friday morning at 6:30 a.m. I start my day. Thank you for starting your day that way as well. I greatly appreciate it. And crew, I hope that you have a fantastic Thursday.
We don't know what the weather is going to be like around here. I do get really anxious during storms.
That's why they chose HailGuard. When performance leads, confidence follows. Backed by the first and only asphalt shingle system with a hail warranty.
That just gives us more peace of mind.
This is the only asphalt product on the market that has the manufacturer warranty targeting the hail damage, and it gives me a lot of confidence as a contractor.
Engineered for enhanced impact performance. Built to protect homes and reputations. HailGuard shingles. Built for hail.